mass grave in Shengal, the ancestral homeland of the Yazidi people, is being opened. The disinterment began on 22 of February in a ceremony attended by local political and religious leaders. Messages from civil society institutions, organizations, political parties, and representatives of the United Nations and the Iraqi federal government were read at the ceremony. A local military commander, Khal Ali, said,
حردان 2014 3 نتيجة خيانتها بيشمرقة كرديت انفصالي وجبانياوان خلق حردان بوضحية تقريبا بأكملها إيرو أم البدري حاضر بون جبر قرارك هاتي بكرنا مقبرة حردان وراكرنا رفاهة شهيد خديوان برا حميني إيرو أم حاضر بون.
Peshmerga forces loyal to the governing Kurdistan Democratic Party pulled out of the Yazidi homeland in 2014, paving the way for the ISIS genocide. Thousands of Yazidis were killed and many more displaced in the 2014 ISIS onslaught, described as a genocide by the UN and other international organizations. Mr. Ali called upon the KDP to stop using the Yazidi people for propaganda, blaming the governing party for the catastrophe in 2014. A worse massacre was only prevented by the intervention of the Kurdish PKK, which worked together with US airstrikes to open a humanitarian corridor into north and east Syria, saving over 100,000 Yazidis. Shavana Taj wailed TUC General Secretary and Freedom for Öcalan. Trade union campaign supporters spoke to Medyanews TV on 15 February international plot against PKK leader Abdullah Öcalan. Taj pointed out that the isolation which is imposed on Mr. Öcalan is inhumane and must be ended immediately. Taj also condemned the February 15th international plot and underlined that as trade unionists in Europe, they will continue to support the Kurdish people's struggle.
The isolation of Öcalan is extremely, concerning continuously. The fact that the president of Turkey is now talking as if he knows Öcalan and he knows what his views are extremely concerning, yet his own family and his lawyers haven't actually been able to speak to him for an extremely long time now. And ultimately, the solution of the Kurdish issue is that Öcalan should be free, because we know that he will be able to make the most rational and most balanced contribution when it comes to peace. The violations over no access to healthcare for prisoners, the amount of suicides that are taking place, some of the claims of torture, these are all part of the same picture of what we are seeing and what we understand of Raleigh as well. So, as a trade unionist, I join with others. We renew our condemnation of the international conspiracy against the Kurdish people's leader, Abdullah Öcalan, on the 23rd year of his abduction. And we will continue to raise our concerns, and we will continue calling for his freedom and for the protection of the Kurdish people. Trade unionists and political activists are together, united in their struggle for peace and democracy. The time has come, freedom will prevail.
A mobile library is touring Iraqi Kurdistan, distributing books by writers including imprisoned leader of the Kurdish freedom movement, Abdullah Öcalan. The mobile library, which is being organized and sponsored by the Patriotic Youth Association of Kurdistan, is traveling through the Kurdistan region of Iraq, also known as Bashur. It has just arrived in Rania, a district of the KRI's second city, Suleimania. As well as distributing books, the project aims to draw attention on ongoing international campaigns for the freedom of Mr. Öcalan and the delisting of the PKK as a terror organization. The campaign follows on from a parallel tour in neighboring north and east Syria, where Mr. Öcalan's idea from the basis of the political system. Walahaddin Sengawi, who co-organized the campaign, said the aim was to spread the ideas and philosophy of Abdullah Öcalan by reaching local readers. As Syrian Christians killed by ISIS during the assault on the ancestral Christian homeland of the Kabul Valley in 2015 have been commemorated. The Assembly of the Families of Assyrian Martyrs held a commemorative event attended by dozens of representatives of civil society organizations, political parties, and local military formations. The Assembly heard speeches from members of the region's embattled Christian minority, of whom the Assyrian community form a significant part, as well as the Kurdish and Arab counterparts.
مي أشوري أم بيرتين أم حموم البات الشهيدة حموم كابينات حاضر أم نوان بيروتكن.
Speaking on behalf of the Assyrian Democratic Party, Ashuri Shaq said, "The 2015 assault on our people's villages was an attempt at genocide. This massacre remains in our people's memory 7 years on. ISIS slaughtered hundreds of Christians in north and east Syria and across the region, attempting to eradicate the religious minorities. Til Tamir and the Khavur Valley, homes to Syriac and Assyrian Christian communities who were among the region's first settlers, were a focal point of these assaults. But members of the Christian communities formed armed groups which worked alongside Kurdish and Arab units to form the Syrian Democratic Forces and drive back the ISIS assaults." The ceremony ended with the lighting of candles in front of the assembly building.
ki Kürt ser va salana va axana bisala yej boy aştiye aramiye demokrasiye xabat xodgu te kushina jene demeşine biser ve ne kira rabun xwestin tevai siyasetu ve erişki lehemu serjine Kürt bike birasti ev wena rastiya jene Kürt rastiya va axanaye rastiya bisalaye şerki sağ lisserva xanat dimeşe rastiye semra güzel hevat kimene gelet xabatkar gelek herciki tekoşine dimeşine gelek hevat kimene hecav gelek hevat kimene xort buji hem li qada hem li parlamentoya gelek xabat baş dikir dîsa dibêjim rastiye ew wena bir coğrafyayê hemû ew êşana tê ber va deriya tu derî kîtineyê tu malbat kîtineyê dema emera li qadan li deriya dixin her malkî de muhaqqaq ew wêna heye ya li benda riyayê ya li benda zindanana ya li benda sürgûnayê wa tê wî wênê jî ew e lêbelê Semra Güzel ti haye dewletê êriş kir ne suçdarê tişkîye suçdarê wî dewlet e ji ber ku va axanara aşiqî aramiyê jiyankî wek hev naxwaze were û bi şer her gav siyaseta xwe dimeşîne bi şer îktidariya xwe dimeşîne em ser navê Semra Güzel bêje mîna hevalê Semra Güzel bêje Semra Güzel wekîlê dilaye çi dikin birabikin li meclîsê jî bixînin Semra Güzel bi îradaya gel çûye nava meclîsê û parlamentoyê em li va hevala xwe ne em piştgiriya hevala xwe ne em dû xwedî derketina Semra Güzel dema êrişê li ser jinê Kurd dibe jinê Kurd ditirsin jî tekoşîna jinê Kurd ditirsin dizanin ki ek jinê Kurd derkevin qada aşitî jî were aramî jî were jiyankî wek hev jî were ji ber vê hava jî politikaya şer belakî dimeşîn û jinê Kurd ketî qada kî tekoşînkî dimeşînê dixwazin pêşevî tekoşînê birin ji ber vê hawa jî tekoşîna jina Kurd ditirsin em mîna jinê Kurd mîna siyasetmevanê Kurd li her katkî li her kolankî emî tercî tê hilweşînin azadiyê pêk bînin em li her kolankî da xebatê xwe bi tekoşîna xwe bi tîlîliyê
A new center to support female victims of domestic violence has been opened in Ain Issa. The Saira organization opened the center in the countryside surrounding the Arab majority but diverse town in an opening ceremony attended by local political and civil figures, including those representing IDPs displaced from Tel Abyad during Turkey's 2019 assault on the border town. Ain Issa, the former administrative capital of North and East Syria, due to its central location and ethnically mixed character, now lies on the front lines of the region invaded and occupied by Turkey in 2019. Nejat Mesla, an executive member of the Organization for the Euphrates region, said, "We will continue our duty to inform women and fight against domestic violence." The Saira organization works to combat all forms of domestic institutional, physical and psychological violence against women, running safe spaces for women and educational workshops for both men and women. In 2022, the organization aims to hold regional workshops to raise awareness about gender-based violence, as well as opening centers to provide psychological support to victims of domestic violence. Following a minute of silence and speeches, the center opens its doors under the slogan, "Women, Life, Freedom." Thousands of trees have been planted in Kobane as part of a 3-day initiative launched by the local ecological committee of the Autonomous Administration of North and East Syria. Hundreds of AANES employees participated in the campaign, which saw 3,000 trees planted in a 7-hectare area 14 kilometers south of the city of Kobane. Arif Bali is the co-chair of the Euphrates Region Environmental Directorate. He said,
وکی اکولوژی در سال 2022 پیلانه کی می گوام هری من کسک دوی والاتی تا زیاده بکن وکی هر کجی دزانه لکوبانی تایبت دمکی دریش حسرت کی آوت جیان کرن و هر وها حسرت کی باغچه و دارستان ت جیان کرن جبر دولت تخزمت کی راست بووی گریج بووی والاتی نکربم.
Lack of rainfall has been compounded by both ISIS campaigns of burning wheat fields and other agricultural land across the region, and Turkey's use of water resources as a weapon of war against NES. Turkey had both seized control of the key water stations at Taluk, which it uses to control and systematically sever the flow of water to hundreds of thousands of local residents and farmers, and intentionally reduce the water flow into the Euphrates River. The tree planting campaign will continue with the aim of planting thousands more trees in the region, with the next phase planned for 8th of March, International Workers' Day.